Tuberculosis is a disease that mostly affects lung. Mankind has been fighting with the symptoms of this disease for thousands of years. The disease is as old as a human history. Sweating, coughing, weight loss, night fevers. Mankind has been trying to fix those symptoms without any success. And by 1800, in England, 1 in every 4 deaths were caused by tuberculosis. And only after, in 1882, Dr. Robert Koch made a discovery that the fundamental reason for tuberculosis was a bacterial infection. Only after then, mankind had taken control over this disease. Symptoms are not the answer. Without knowing the fundamental reason of a subject, if we just know the symptoms, the knowledge about the subject might be just an empty illusion. In fact, our education system is a one big factory producing the ocean of symptoms. Our children are drowned in symptoms, characteristics, traits, attributes. You name it. This system tests and rewards students based on how good they have memorized the symptoms of the subject. Understanding the fundamental reason of the subject is not necessary in this system. Across the globe, all the education systems are based on this same foundation. The foundation I call a symptom-based education system. We're letting our children getting drowned in the ocean of symptoms. When I was in school, I struggled through the education system. I could not even pass the college entrance exam. Like many of you, I hope, I have a terrible memory. My memory sucks. I cannot memorize things. I cannot memorize symptoms. And I felt bad because I felt I was cheating the education system. Because whenever I prepare for the exam, I would memorize the symptoms. And only to see myself forgetting everything I just memorized, disappearing the day after the examination. I felt wrong. That's why I have come up with my own method of thinking. Fundamental reasoning. Fundamental reasoning is about finding out a single fundamental reason of the things, subjects, and knowledge, and beings, without getting drowned in the ocean of symptoms. Because just like tuberculosis, for thousands of years, the symptoms did not lead the mankind to the fundamental reason of the disease. And I'm astonished because recently I have made a study on the mission statements of Fortune 500 companies. And when we look at a table, we point at the table and we say, that's table. But just imagine, half of the people in this hall are pointing at that table, same table, and saying, that's chair. Exactly that's what's going on in the mission statements of the Fortune 500 companies. 250 companies' mission statements, the definition of the mission statement contradicts with the other half. So can we assume that half of the top 500 companies, they don't know the definition of what mission statements are? That's wrong. And that's partly because of our media and because of our education system, which are getting us overwhelmed by symptoms. And let's take the other example. A leader. Leader is an integral component of a human society. Since the dawn of the man, we had a leader. We're having a leader. We will be having a leader. This is the fundamental structure of the human society. Leader is such a basic knowledge. But yet, we're still debating today whether the leaders are born or made, nature or nurture. This is insane. And I've just checked up Google, millions of results, who the leader is. You could do it yourself on your smartphones. 10 properties of a leader, 7 qualities of a leader, and countless of best-selling books describing the symptoms of a leader without going to the fundamental single reason of a leader. I've just read a research paper from a global top Ivy League business school. They've spent 4 years and 2,000 leaders across the globe to find out who the leader was. You know what? They came up with 10 different properties. Sense of humor, you know it. Who has a sense of humor? Being honest. Being honest, is it a symptom of some fundamental reason, or is it itself the defining factor for a leader? Creative. Who becomes creative? Be confident. Who's confident? Are you born with the confidence? Or do you acquire it? Being consistent. Hardworking. How can you be consistent? And a decision maker. So all these are elusive symptoms that are hard to define. And these mean different definitions to anyone's perspective, from your own perspective. Let's take the last definition of a leader they came up with. So, a good communication skill. Now, if you pull out the Economist magazine, you will see a job advertisement requiring a person for a super senior level executive position, one of the global financial or business centers. And they are asking, large corporations, they are asking, we want someone who's got a good communication skill. I believe you've heard about it. Good communication skill. Is it a symptom or fundamental reason? Who will exhibit a good communication skill? Think about it for 1 second. I think a good listener does not necessarily mean you just sit there silently and let the other party speak. You ask questions. You hear the other party to speak, but you understand the things that he may have not yet said. What is his real perspective, the real intention? Once you get that of the other person, other party, you can exhibit a good communication skill. Good communication skill does not mean you should be smiling in each and every of your conversation. Sometimes you should be shouting. Sometimes you should be sitting just idle. Sometimes you should be engaging in a very creative conversation. So only a good listener can exhibit a good communication skill. So from now on, I advise you, whenever you put a job advertisement, put a good listener quality instead of good communication skill that you are requiring from the person. But who is a good listener? Who can be a good listener? Maybe someone who really is interested in others. If you're not interested in other people, how can you listen the intentions that other party is not revealing? Now, who becomes really interested in others? Are you? I'm asking you, are you interested from your bottom of your heart in others' businesses? Are you? Have you had such experience? Yes, I think you do. You did. Or you did once. When you like that girl or like that boy really much, you could read his mind from his eyes. You could read each and every intention. In that case, you were really interested in someone else from your bottom of your heart. But are you continuing that tradition in your everyday life? That's the question to be answered towards the end of the day, today. Now, I'd like to share one of my experiences. Exactly 14 years ago, I have decided to do a part-time lecturing to college students. I agreed with the college administration, and they opened up their students and their time. That was to benefit myself because I wanted to be confident in front of other people. You know, I wanted to be a good public speaker. I wanted to show off because I was a high-flying banker at that time. That was for me to benefit myself. No single thought about the students in the classroom. But then, each and every time, the first 4 or 5 experiences were excruciatingly painful. It was a torture. The classroom was a torture chamber, you know. I would tremble. Just before entering the classroom, I would tremble. I thought I would just pass out in front of the students. I would constantly think about how do I look like, what they're thinking about me, do I look good or bad? I had a hard time focusing on my subject. After a couple of such experiences, I've just realized something subtle, something deep, something emotional. I've seen on the top of their heads, my students, a responsibility. Because these students, from the eyes, I could feel, they are wanting a knowledge. The knowledge, if I give them, if I pass them during my lecturing, that could change their lives. If I can give them something good, a good experience, a good knowledge, that can change, that can impact their lives forever. But if I just go there, only thinking about myself, and waste their time, it's not going to help those kids. An immediate urgency to take that responsibility from the top of their heads and put that responsibility on my shoulder. And you would imagine what was like the next lecturing experience. Right after that feeling, I was preparing for the lecture. I was only thinking about, what am I going to give? I should give them something good. And a thought about myself instantaneously disappeared. And the next experience, I ceased to have that trembling, that anxiety, that nervousness, just gone. And my voice was projected. I had an eye contact with each and every student. I was so confident. I exhibited the confidence. I would move freely and used hand gestures intelligently to connect what I am trying to give to those students. And if you've recognized, these are the symptoms of a typical public speaking class. Use hand gestures intelligently, project your voice, make an eye contact, exhibit confidence, move freely. But suddenly, when I got that responsibility, without attending any public speaking course, those symptoms grew. organically from the fundamental reason why I'm going to that classroom. So charisma is connected to a good speaker. If you can connect with the audience, if you can connect with your followers, you can create a charisma. And a good speaker requires a vision. A vision of what? A vision of what? A vision into the future, as most people wrongly assumes when we talk about vision. So, what's the fundamental reason of a leader? In my opinion, it's responsibility, a vision of responsibility towards your followers, the other people. And this responsibility comes voluntarily. No one gives you this responsibility. And this is the difference between a leader and the manager. Leader assumes the responsibility in front of other people voluntarily. And authority is given by the followers by themselves. But in the case of manager, the responsibility and authority are both given from the top, by the regulation, by the laws, and through the hierarchy. So in my opinion, using my fundamental reasoning thinking methodology, the single fundamental reason of a leader is responsibility, voluntarily taken responsibility. Once you get that, all those symptoms that this top Ivy League school defining and these top business magazines are defining will grow organically and naturally and on its own. So now we're looking at a tree that is called fundamental reasoning tree. The symptoms are the leaves and the smaller branches. When you go down, you may find the fundamental reason. This can be applied to each and every different subject. Now let's talk about divorce. Today, the divorce rate in the United States is 50%. 1 in every 2 couples will divorce in the future. And we're talking about a country who's got one of the best education systems, a role model. And how is this possible? Can we reduce that 50%? I think we can. How? Because we have failed to provide our children the fundamental reason of the love. Love, just like leader, is such an ancient, such a natural, such a structural knowledge of human history and the human society. But we don't know what love is. Maybe our kids are mistaking a symptom of something totally different to a symptom of a love. And today, we, the world, needs to change and reform its symptom-based education system to a total new paradigm, a new education system that is based on fundamental reason. And I believe we should be spreading this knowledge. We should be the catalyst for this change. Thank you.